Welcome back to Paint and Dan. Last time on Paint and Dan. It's a turd bug! Welcome back, Paint Hand pals. Last episode, we slapped some wings and we slapped some chop onto this Ankheg. It reminded me of a mantis. But what kind of mantis? We'll see. This kind of mantis. An orchid mantis. These cute little killers are known for their beautiful floral pattern. How hard could it be? For this section of the painting process, we will be using Army Painter Speed Paint. The transparency of the Speed Paints makes them ideal to place over the SlapChop, so we keep the contrast that we worked so hard to create. We will be using Purple Alchemy, Pallid Bone, Sand Golem, Hive Dweller Purple, and Holy White? Holy White does nothing. Don't use Holy White. One of the great things about these paints is that they don't require precision to apply. You can just slather on a nice layer and let it soak in and dry. And if you have two pigments that rub shoulders at a border, that's okay. They'll do a nice natural blend on their own. One of the downsides to the Army Painter Speed Paints is they do take some time to dry and a little longer to cure. So if you have a wet paintbrush or wet paint and go back in on that speed paint, you might reactivate it and make one hell of a mess. Oh crap. Maybe a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back. This episode of Paint and Dan was brought to you by piece of shit plastic bag light filters. 'Cause I'm not actually sponsored. Back to the show. And we're back. We're going to proceed with the next step of our model, which is basically back to slap chopping it. We're going to get the makeup brushes, we're going to get the dry paint, and we're going to go back to beating the hell out of this model. Here we go. The slap chop technique is not exclusive to the priming stage of the painting process, nor is it exclusive to black and white or grayscale. Slap chopping is basically using your dry brush to build up layers and layers and layers to create a gradient of contrast. You can dry brush white on top of colors, you can dry brush colors on top of black, you can dry brush colors on top of other colors. The important part is you start dark and work your way up. Okay, now that we've finished slapping off, we can move on to the next step of this paint job, which is getting into the wet palette and putting on some wet paint. We'll use a dab of Pixie Pink and a dab of Matte White. I said a dab of Matte White. Come on! That's better. I'm mixing up the pink and white on my wet palette so I can have a bit of a gradient, but I'm looking for a very light, almost white pink, so I can take it along the highlights and borders of this Ankheg. I've kind of felt that this purple alchemy has left the carapace a little too dark, and I wanted that soft white look of the orchid mantis, so I'm gonna try real hard to lift this thing back up. Now I think there's something my hands know that my brain doesn't, because everything's telling me I'm ruining the head on this model right now, but I feel there's hope yet. Oh, maybe not. Ooh, I don't know about this, guys. Will our hero Paint and Dan succumb to the ugly phase? Subscribe and stay tuned to find out. Oh hey man, watch your... Oof,